Hello darlings, and welcome to another historical tutorial video. This week I'm going to be polishing some shoes. In my last video I made some Edwardian shoe polish and I was meant to show how to use it in my next video, which was meant to be the next month. A few months have elapsed since then, but I finally got round to it. I'm going to be using the Bachelor Girl's Guide to Everything for how to polish shoes in the Edwardian way. In this reprint book, which is from 2008, on page 92 there is a section on cleaning boots and shoes. Agnes M. Miles says this: cleaning boots and shoes. It is easy to spend several shillings on an elaborate outfit for boot cleaning, most of which is quite unnecessary. Everything required for both black and brown footwear may be bought for 9p or less. You will need, for black shoes, a brush for applying the blacking, a tin of blacking or polish, and a black velvet polishing pad. For brown shoes, a rubber for applying the polish, or a second brush, a tin of brown cream, and a brown velvet polishing pad. By having the equipment for each kind of footwear the same colour as the shoes for which it is intended, you run no risk of inadvertently using the black brush for brown shoes or vice versa. You will also need a tiny sponge and a bit of pointed firewood for use when the boots are very muddy. The velvet pads can be made at home of old bits of velvet stuffed with rags or bought at a penny bazaar, as can the brown rubber. Girls living in the country and doing much walking over bad roads often get their boots wet through and caked with mud. In this case, the boots should be left in a warm room, but not near a fire, to dry. It may be as long as 24 hours in winter before they are ready to be cleaned. Scrape off as much mud as possible by gentle use of the pointed stick. A knife must never be employed, as sooner or later it is sure to slip and cut the leather. Dip the little sponge in water, wring it nearly dry and wipe over the boots with it to remove the last traces of mud. It is ruined footwear to put polish on over mud. Dip the brush into the blacking and rub it all over the boot, not forgetting the heel. Then polish vigorously with the velvet pad until a good shine appears all over. Boots which are not muddy do not need the stick and sponge treatment, but can have the blacking or cream applied straight away. If the boots are very dusty, as often happens in summer, begin by wiping them over with a duster. An economical substitute for brown boot cream is the inside of a banana skin, rubbed all over the leather and then polished. Boots and shoes keep their shape much better if they are put on trees as soon as they are taken off the feet. Failing trees, the toes may be well stuffed with soft paper. For the cleaning of white shoes, see page 104. So I've assembled myself a little shoe polishing kit. I'm only going to do black boots so far. I might grab a banana and see if the inside of a banana skin works for my brown shoes, but we'll see if I get to that. So here I have my shoe blacking, the little tins that I made in the video before, which if you want to know how to make it, go back to the previous one and I'll show you how to make it by yourself. A velvet duster, which is just made from scraps of velvet, and I stuffed it with some stuffing. It was very easy to make. I have just a scrap of fabric because I think in the tutorial there it says about a brush, but I think that's talking about like wet blacking, and I'm using a solid blacking, so I'm going to need a cloth to rub it in and then we can brush it, and a little brush. I actually find these quite hard to find nowadays. I found a whole bunch of them in a charity shop and I just bought them all because I've had trouble finding little brushes in normal shops. At least ones that look good quality and aren't just like plastic and the bristles fall off all the time. I don't know if you can see from over there, but my boots are in a bit of a state. They are very scuffed at the heel, the aglets for the laces have come off, and they're just a little bit worse for wear. So I'm going to give these a good bit of TLC. So to start, we're going to remove the laces. I'm going to replace the aglets and give them a little bit of a wash. You don't have to do this every time, I'm just doing this because I think they could use it. Splishy splashy. And while I'm in here, I'm also just going to wipe off these shoes with a damp cloth. They're not exceptionally muddy, but they've got a little bit of grime on them. And I can also wash off the soles a little bit. Okay, so now that the laces have been washed off and left to dry, and also my shoes have just been given a quick wipe down, it's time for the polishing. So we'll start with the left, and I'll take out my shoe blacking. I'm just going to do this with bare hands, but if you do have actual black polish, you can use gloves. Also, do you like my new apron? The last time I did this, I wore a white apron and everyone got very upset that I was polishing shoes with a white apron on. People are probably going to be upset about my white sleeves now. I have attempted to tie them back, but I should probably have sleeve covers, but I haven't made them yet. I'll get around to making them at some point. It is on my list of things to do. So I'm going to dip my scrap cloth in my shoe blacking and get a little bit on there. This recipe went a little bit skew-if. I think I definitely know what to do different next time. but it looks like it's going on the cloth quite nicely. So let's start with just the toe of the shoe here. We're going to brush it and then use the velvet duster as the last step to kind of polish it off. So you don't actually have to do too much polishing while you're applying it with this cloth. Make sure to get it in all the creases, and as you've unlaced it, make sure to get it in the tongue as well. This is actually applying really nicely. It's applying a lot like the modern shoe polish that I have, which is quite interesting. I wasn't really expecting that. It also doesn't smell too bad. It smells kind of like furniture polish. As I'm kind of mixing up, the black is getting mixed in there where it was kind of all separate before. So maybe the recipe didn't go as badly as I initially thought. So I'm just getting little spots that I think could use more polish, or that I think I possibly missed. Okay, so that's the first layer of polish done. It does kind of look more dull at the moment, but that will change. So even though it says to brush the shoe blacking on, I'm going to still brush it as the second step now after I've applied it. So I'm just going to brush in the polish. It's starting to already look a little bit shinier. Alright, I think that has been nicely brushed in, and then we can take our velvet pad and start to polish. You can be quite gentle with this actually. Alright, and that's one shoe done. It looks much shinier and much healthier. So I guess I can get started on the right. I did a post about Edwardian shoe polish a few years ago, and I've already learned so much in the time since then and now. I'm looking forward to when I do this tutorial again in another 5 years, just to show off how much I've learned again. I'm really getting the toe here because that's where all the scuffs are. The fabric is shedding a little bit because I didn't finish off the edges and I was worried about that. So it might be worth using a fabric with finished edges if you wanted to just sew them or overlock them quickly to stop stray threads from getting anywhere. But I'm just using what scraps I had to hand, which I think is a very Victorian method of doing things. The more I'm using it, actually, the more I'm able to smell the suet that's been put into here. It's starting to smell a little bit animally, a little bit like a sheep pen. Okay, I've applied the polish on the right side. Now for the brush and the duster. There. That didn't actually take too much time at all. And the thing is, polishing actually extends the life of your shoes, especially if you have leather. It just stops them from falling apart quite as quickly as they could. They are much shinier, they are much more well kept. All the scuffs on the front of the shoe have gone. It just looks in much better nick now. So now I just need to relace them and we're ready to go out on the town again. I've dyed my hair, can you tell? Mrs. Miles says that an economical substitute for brown boot cream is the inside of a banana skin. So I have my brown boots and I also have a banana skin. I don't like bananas, so I gave this to my boyfriend to eat and he just left me the skin, which is very kind of him. So I have given these boots just a quick wipe over to ensure that they are clean, and I am going to remove the laces and then give this inside of a banana skin peel a try. So, ignore the anachronistic zips, these are my lazy shoes. It says to rub the inside of the banana skin. This skin broke into 3 pieces quite naturally. So let's just take a little piece, I don't know, rub it over. It makes sense to me in my brain because banana peels are quite waxy, so it should provide some amount of coverage. You do get little banana bits on the shoes though, as I predicted. But maybe that'll be okay in the polishing stage. Ugh, it's not doing good on mine because it has so many creases. I'll just wipe that out. It'll be fine. On the big swathes though, like on the toes here, it looks to be doing quite nicely, giving them a little shine. It also smells great. The shoe polish that I made does have a little bit of that animal smell to it because of the animal fats. I'm going to just get rid of the banana that has congealed in the corners because that's grossing me out just a little bit. But then it says just to polish as normal, so I'm going to brush it in with the brush here. And this should also get rid of any banana bits that are left behind. And then I'm going to go over it using my velvet polishing pad. So this is the before and the after. I can't believe it, but it does look as though it's actually made quite a lot of difference. Maybe it was just the polishing, but the banana peel seems to have done really quite a lot. Well, time to do the other one. I've just kind of folded the skin in half to give myself some leverage with it. It also naturally reaches a point where it's kind of worn through, so then I just switch to a different spot or flip it over. Getting rid of banana bits from the creases. Gross. And brush time again. And also the benefit of the banana, you don't have to worry about getting things on your white sleeves. And polishing time. And that is both of them done. Banana skins certainly are an economical option, and they also seem to work quite nicely. I'm not sure if it would last as long as the one that actually has animal fats and actual colouring in it, but for a quick and easy solution, I think it works great. Only if you eat bananas though. So those are 2 techniques from an Edwardian book on how to polish shoes the proper way. I really enjoyed making the shoe polish in the first part and then actually trying out the polish in the second part, as well as experimenting with the banana skin there. Although these tutorials may seem outdated and a little useless nowadays, I do a lot of historical research and I feel like it's a waste sometimes that we've lost all of these techniques and methods that our ancestors built up over millennia of trial and error, finding the best way to do things. And we've just kind of lost that in recent times with all-in-one stain removers and shoe polishes and DIY methods. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to go back to these times. I love my washing machine and my dishwasher with all my heart. But I feel like sometimes there's a benefit to doing things the slower way, to doing things properly as opposed to quickly. And that's why I do these tutorials, to just get a little glimpse of what our ancestors used to do and to maybe bring it back every now and again in the future for when I want to polish my shoes or try out a new technique that I've never actually tried before because I haven't needed to. Let me know in the comments if there's any historical tutorials you'd like me to try in the future. Until next time.